Venom are an English heavy metal band that formed in 1979 in Newcastle upon Tyne. Coming to prominence towards the end of the new wave of British heavy metal, Venom's first two albums Welcome to Hell and Black Metal are considered a major influence on thrash metal and extreme metal in general. Venom's second album proved influential enough that its title was used as the name of an extreme metal subgenre, black metal. Band history. Early years. Venom's original personnel came from three different bands, Guillotine, Oberon and Dwarf Star. The original Guillotine featured Jeffrey Dunn and Dave Rutherford on guitars, Dean Hewitt on bass guitar, Dave Blackman on vocals and Chris Mercator on drums, who replaced Paul Burke, the original drummer when the band was founded. Blackman and Mercator were later also replaced by drummer Anthony Bray and vocalist Clive Archer of Oberon due to not living up to the expectations of Paul Burke on drums, and later on Dean Hewitt was replaced by Alan Winston on bass. Around this time the name Venom was created. In the late autumn of 1979, Conrad Land, from the band's Dwarf Star and album Graham, replaced Dave Rutherford. Land later switched to bass after the departure of Winston. The band members took on new stage names. Archer became Jesus Christ, Land Mr. Kronos, Bray Tony Abaddon, and Dunn Jeff Mantas. Prime influences of the formative band were Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Motor Paragraph Red and Kiss. Other bands cited by Venom as an inspiration are Queen, The Who, Deep Purple, Sex Pistols, Van Halen, The Tubes and The Rolling Stones. Since the beginning of their career, Venom have often used satanic lyrics and imagery. However, the band were not Satanists, and such references were mostly for shock value. In April 1980, the band recorded a 3-song disc, featuring Angel Dust, Raise the Dead, and Red Light Fever. Soon afterward, 6 more tracks were recorded for just £50, with Land taking vocal duties on the song Live Like an Angel. Archer soon left the band, and Venom's lineup became a trio. Classic lineup. Venom's recording debut was the 1981 single In League with Satan / Live Like an Angel, which was released by Neat Records. Later that year they released their full-length debut, Welcome to Hell. Though crudely recorded with sometimes dubious musicianship, Welcome to Hell was still a remarkable tour de force for the era. Venom's music was faster and harsher than most heavy metal contemporaries, and while Satanism and other dark topics had been featured in metal before, the subject had rarely been more prominent. Land was quoted as saying that this celebration of evil subjects was inspired by the perceived need to outdo musicians like Ozzy Osbourne of Black Sabbath, who would sing about evil things and dark figures, and then spoil it all by going, "Oh, no, no, please, God, help me." Their second album, 1982's Black Metal, is cited as perhaps the most important influence in the development of black metal, thrash metal, death metal, and other related styles that are often grouped under the extreme metal umbrella. Many defining elements of these genres are first found in the lyrics and song titles created by Land and his unique singing style, as well as the guitar work and solos performed by Dunn. Though they would later be cited as important, neither of Venom's first 2 albums sold well upon their original release. And while many of their British metal peers had found measures of popular success or critical acclaim, Venom was still regarded by critics as a trio of buffoons. In an attempt to prove their status as serious musicians, Venom recorded At War with Satan in 1984. The epic 20-minute title track, with substantial progressive rock influences, took up the first side of the LP. The B-side was focused on the rapid-fire, 3-minute scorches Venom were known for. In 1985, Venom released their 4th album, Possessed, which was not as successful as previous albums. Dunn then left the band to pursue a solo career. Kronos, however, cites the Possessed album as underestimated. "I don't think there's any songs that are kind of overlooked, I just think some songs maybe weren't recorded as well as we could have recorded them. Like, say for example, on the Possessed album, I still think there are great songs." Lineup changes and departure of Land. 2 guitarists, Mike Hickey and Jim Clare, were hired to replace Dunn. Their 5th album, 1987's Calm Before the Storm, moved away from satanic themes in favor of sword and sorcery material. This was even less successful than Possessed, and Land. Clare and Hickey all left Venom after subsequent touring to form Land's eponymous solo band Kronos. Bray was left as the only group member, but he was able to convince Music for Nations for a deal to release a new Venom album on the Under One Flag label, using Deadline demo tracks which were recorded with previous lineups but never released. In 1988, Bray offered a vocals bass role to Tony Dolan from Atomcraft. Bray and Dolan wrote new material prior to Dunn's rejoining the band along with rhythm guitarist Al Barnes. Together they recorded Primeval, Tear Your Soul Apart and Temples of Ice. Barnes then left the band, and Steve White from Atomcraft was hired as his replacement. They released The Wastelands in 1992, also without success. Music for Nations refused to release any more Venom albums, so Dolan and Dunn quit, effectively disbanding Venom. Bray continued to release compilation and live albums up to 1995. Reunion of classic lineup. In 1995, Land, Dunn and Bray reunited the classic lineup, beginning by headlining the World Rock Festival on June 24, 1995. They recorded and self-released the Venom 96 EP with 4 re-recorded and 1 new song, resulting in a record deal with the SPV label. An album, Cast in Stone, was next released in 1997, split between new material and re-recordings of popular early 80s songs. Kronos declared in an interview with Ramon van H of Dutch Weekzine Lords of Metal, "You are now the one to use the name Venom. I agree that Venom without you is hardly legitimate. Did you feel the same about it? That's the way we always said to each other, whoever wants to continue with the name Venom, and so long as it is Venom, then great. That's why when in the end of the 80s and I decided to leave and do other things, I said the band that I've put together and the songs that we're writing, it's not Venom. So I decided to change the name of the band and we're gonna be called Kronos. They were trying to keep on putting Venom things together and I just said good luck to you guys. So there are no hard feelings whatsoever? No, not a problem. When Mantles left, me and Abaddon kept going with 2 other guys. I left, Mantles came back, Abaddon left and I continued with Mantles. Whoever really wants to make Venom work. Nobody has any jealousy, we all still love Venom." However, Mantles shared his side by saying, "You and Anthony started the band at the time, are you fine with the fact that Conrad now continues the band's name? He himself told me he thinks the concept of Venom is bigger than Kronos or any other members and he just wants to contribute to its legacy. I am the founder of Venom, and that is just basic historical fact and again something of which I am very proud of. I verbally agreed to let him continue with the Venom name, but also said that the only legitimate lineup I would personally ever recognize as original, would be one that included Mantles and Kronos. That was the last time we spoke at length and the conversation was left with the words never say never. He is out there with 2 other guys as Venom, playing Venom songs and I have Empire and we also play some Venom songs. So it's all good. But honestly to me, and this is purely a personal opinion as someone very close to the situation, it is there in name only." Recent work. Bray left Venom in 1999 and was replaced by Land's brother Anthony Onton Lant. This lineup released Resurrection in 2000 on SPV. However, in 2002 Dunn again left the group and was replaced by a returning Hickey. In late 2005, Venom released a career-spanning 4-disc box set MMV, which includes an exclusive mini-poster of the band's 7-day tour of Europe with Metallica and a 60-page picture book, with interviews and pictures. The set includes all their best-known songs, along with rarities like live tracks, demos and outtakes. This lineup of the band released the Metal Black album. Hickey was replaced by guitarist La Rage in 2007. This lineup released the record Hell the following year. Onton Lant left the group thereafter to concentrate on his band DEF CON 1 and was replaced by drummer Danny Dante Needham. They released the Fallen Angels album on November 28, 2011. Venom are expected to release a new album in early 2014. Venom also played one song they are working on in the studio, Live for the audience at Rockfest 2014. The song was named Rise. The crowd was also recorded during the song. Genre, as Venom were one of the first incarnations of extreme metal, influencing many thrash metal, black metal, death metal and other extreme metal bands, their exact genre has been a topic of debate. Venom have been labeled various genres by members of the press. Most prominent genres are black metal, thrash metal, and speed metal. Kronos insists on calling it black metal, without passing judgment on the genre that later on flourished in Norway. It's one of the things when I saw the Norwegian scene beginning in the early 90s. I thought, I know they said Venom are an influence, etc., etc. Let's see where these guys are coming from. And then when I started to read the lyrics, read the interviews and see they were kind of saying the same thing, but about their country, they had their religion, with all the Norse gods like Woden and Thor. And then all of the sudden the Christians came in and they tried to destroy their religion. It's great that they stayed within in their country's beliefs for their lyrics as well. So, they're not exactly the same things as Venom, they invented something of their own, which I think is fucking great. Legacy and influence. Welcome to Hell influenced several later bands. Venom's music helped shape the development of many thrash metal bands, specifically the big four of thrash: Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax and Megadeth. Venom would also be of extreme importance to the black metal and even the early death metal scene, with numerous bands copying styles, themes and imagery from the band, such as the Swiss band Hellhammer, which also helped pioneer the genres. Music critic Bradley Torino wrote that Venom caught the attention of both metalheads and punks. The band was emulated by the former and turned into camp icons by the latter. Although they didn't make it to MTV's Top 10 Heavy Metal Bands list, they were given an honorable mention. Criticism. While many fans and musicians see Venom as an important band, their music has nonetheless been the subject of debate and criticism. Critic Eduardo Rivadavia of AllMusic writes that though Welcome to Hell influenced literally thousands of bands, Venom were critically reviled. However, critic James Christopher Munger declares that the members of Venom grew as musicians as their careers progressed. Ethnographer Keith Kahn Harris argues that Venom's limited technical skill, particularly early in their career, was a profound, though inadvertent factor in Venom's influence, being unable to mimic more technically proficient metal of their predecessors or peers. Venom instead opted to focus on sheer speed, creating music that was inspired by earlier metal, yet simultaneously blazed new trails. In his Black Flag Tour diary, singer Henry Rollins wrote about a 1986 performance when Black Flag opened for Venom. He opines that Venom were hilarious, with mediocre playing and a stage performance focused on appearances rather than music. Rollins asserted that the musicians used portable fans to keep their hair flowing while on stage. Rollins wrote, "It was like seeing Spinal Tap. I expected them to go into Sex Farm at any second." Rollins writes that he and some tourmates drew magic marker pentagrams on their hands to flash at Venom and offer Hail Satan salutes. For their final number, Venom asked the audience to chant what Rollins thought was black funky metal, which briefly made Rollins suspect that he had overlooked Venom's sense of humor, until he realized Venom were actually saying black fucking metal. Members. Discography, references. External links, Venom Legion's official website.